Salutations Rangers, General Bradley 101 back again with some more lore. And today's video, boys and gals, we're talking about the Belangles. Yes indeed, ladies and gentlemen, everyone's favorite tragic angels fallen from grace. Or falling from grace, should I say. And today we're going to talk about the oldest of the angels. The one, the only, the old man of Baal himself. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about Lord Commander Dante of the Imperium Nihilus. But more specifically, we're talking about who is going to replace the Great Angel when he does indeed fall. Or will he ever get replaced? But I'm getting ahead of myself. We're going to touch upon that, the thing before, and a whole bunch of stuff in between. As today we talk about the Blood Angels, Dante, and why exactly this old gold bastard won't just kick the bucket, despite so badly wanting to. So strap on in, buckle up, grab yourself a little snack, preferably some grape juice or anything red flavored. Red flavored? Yes, red flavored. And let's get talking about the Blood Angels. So, for those of you who don't know, Dante is the current chapter master of the Blood Angels, as of recently made by Gallagher, the Lord Commander of the Imperium Nihilus, that being the half of the Imperium that is shrouded in darkness away from the light of the Astronomicon. And he is the oldest space marine outside of a dreadnought. I believe at the time, currently, canonly, he is about 1500 years old, plus or minus 100 years. And not only is he the most veteran space marine, he is also one of the most deadly and most effective. As we've seen time and time again throughout the entirety of his combat history, not only is he a dedicated commander, masterful tactician, he is also a hilariously skilled fighter, with him dueling various different characters, including Chaos Lords and Hive Tyrants, and slaying them outright. Dante is a monster of a space marine, and some believe he is the truest incarnation of a son of Sanguinius. But Dante, he kinda doesn't want all that. Dante is old, Dante is tired, and Dante simply wants to go to sleep. He'd love nothing more than to keel over and die, but the problem is, he has duty, and duty only ends unto death. And he's pretty good at what he does, so he ain't dying anytime soon. As the saying goes, beware the old man in a profession where men die young. And Dante is the oldest man around, save maybe for Gilliman. But, let's say for whatever reason, Dante does indeed end up dying. For one reason or another, who in the Blood Angels would be the next pick to succeed him as Chapter Master? So, just a little TLDR here. When it comes to selecting Chapter Master, a Chapter Master must be chosen from one of the 10 captains. So, the 10 captains will gather together, and then they'll decide which captain amongst them should succeed to the rank of Chapter Master. And this is a very important note, because that means that all other heads of the various different command structure of the chapter command, i.e. the head librarian, the head chaplain, etc., they cannot inherit the title of chapter master, at least when it comes to the Blood Angels. In other chapters it may vary, but when it comes to the Blood Angels, we know that that's not the case. Because when Dante was first elected, there was already a head chaplain who was much older and some argued would be much better than Dante. But, as I said, Dante was a captain, so then he got elected. Now, that leaves us with very, very, very limited options. You see, there are only 2 named captains of the Blood Angels. That being the captain of the Blood Angels' first company, the Archangels, Arenos Carlin, and the captain of the Blood Angels' second company, the Blooded, Dantonius Aphael. Now, as you can imagine, most people would be jumping and be pointing at the fact, oh, look, no, quite simply, first captain, right? Done, sorted, follows the hierarchy. And while Aurelius is indeed a very skilled warrior, very dedicated, and all in all a very trusted advisor of Dante, it's unlikely that he's going to end up becoming chapter master. Why? Because of how he fights. He is a fan of Terminator armor, and he is a fan of heavy-duty, slow-trudging warfare. He is the anvil, he is the grinding fist of the Blood Angels. He is the tank which everyone else centers around, hence why he's so beloved. Terminators are great at holding, but when you think about what the Blood Angels are supposed to be, it doesn't really vibe with that. You see, the Blood Angels really, really love Sanguinius. No shit, right? But it's gotten to a point where every single chapter master must fight in the style of Sanguinius. Now, this is not an official rule, but if you take a look at everyone and everything in between, it's kind of like an unofficial thing that's expected. Hence, Dante is known for his power axe, melter pistol, and of course, jump pack. Same thing with the Sangard. So, it's kind of hard for us to believe that all of a sudden this slow-moving Terminator captain, this brick shithouse of a space marine, is going to either 1, flip over to artificer armor and a jump pack, which is just not his cup of tea, or 2, the Blood Angels are just going to finally accept that, okay, everyone now is in Terminator armor. and the Sanguinary God are going to get Terminator armor and they're just going to do that instead of what they're known for. It doesn't really make sense. So, from that point of view, Mr. Arenos out of the picture. And then that leaves us with Mr. Dante Afael. And then, he kind of makes sense. He's captain of the second company. He's also well respected. He doesn't have the problem that Dorenikos has, in which case that he's a fan of Terminator armor. The Blooded are about close moving, fast hitting second company. They're all about getting in there, getting it done. Very much a strike company. It fits all the bills, right? Ticks all the boxes. It makes sense. And after Arrhenius, he is the second most senior captain. So then, okay, perfect, grand, good. That means that he is going to be the next chapter master, right? Dante's successor, yeah? Well, no, because we don't really know about his fate. You see, after the whole of the Devastation of Baal series, he's AFK. We don't know if he's actually lost, if he's MIA, but he's just never mentioned after it, so we honestly have no idea. And given how many of the losses the Blood Angels suffered, there's a high probability he may just be dead. Or worse, condemned to the Black Rage. And that's basically all the candidates we have. The other 8 captains aren't really named or well known, or there's not really much known about them, so that means that Dante has no successor. But he did have a successor. All of my Blood Angels fans will know about the tragic story of Tycho the Lost. You see, Captain Tycho was said to be the perfect Blood Angel. He was said to be awesome, amazing, great, Sanguinius himself reincarnated. And Dante himself had decreed him his successor. Problem was, though, he would eventually fall to the Black Rage and become Tycho the Lost. And this is a very important point. Why do I say that? Because it fits into the idea behind Dante's story. Dante is cursed with long life. And I don't mean that figuratively, I mean that quite literally. He will never have a true successor, and even when he does have a successor, that successor will be lost, a la Tycho. But more specifically, Sanguinius himself refuses to let Dante die. We know this for a fact that during the Devastation of Baal series, Dante is quite literally dying. He's on the verge of death and he's literally going into the warp, aka heaven. And he sees Sanguinius. And he's like, finally, father, I'm here. And Sanguinius literally tells him, I am sorry, but your work is not yet done. And Dante is sent back screaming. Basically just wants to die. Seriously, Dante is out here over here like, I'm tired, boss. And Sanguinius just like, come on, champ, you got one more in you, and just throws him back into combat. But that then begs the question, why? Why is it that Sanguinius literally refuses to let Dante die? Why is it that he can never get a successor? Why is it that he has this curse upon him? And this is where we get into the theory. Now, of course, there's a quite simple out-of-law reason in which the GW would just never kill him off because there's no right way to replace him, and if they ever did do that, the whole fandom would be up in arms and it would just be a bad idea. But, that feels like a cop-out answer for me. So, I want to look into the law reason behind it. Why is it that Sanguinius does not want Dante to die? Why is it that there can be no successor for Dante? And ultimately, I have my theory, and the theory goes as such. Sanguinius, or the spirit of Sanguinius, or the good nature of Sanguinius, whatever is left of him, is worried. He knows that if Dante dies, the Blood Angels will fall. Now, what do I mean by that? You see, the Blood Angels have tried their damnedest to fight against the tyranny of it all. The tyranny of the setting, the tyranny of their bloodline, the tyranny of their lineage, of their gene seed. Their whole shtick is about struggle. It's about prophecy, it's about forestalling the prophecy, it's about fighting, it's about angels and demons and all that. It's very much so circa 15th century Italiano Renaissance type writing. For those of you who don't know, the Blood Angels have had their fair share of conflict, both external but also internal. There's been more than one civil wars they've had, and they have had their own reckonings of various different chapters. We know specifically of 2, the Lamenters and the Flesh Sharers, being heavily reduced by one means or another. These chapters have nearly been brought to the extinction, and both of them represent very core tenets of the Blood Angels. But here's the thing, the Blood Angels are slowly losing. There is a theory, and I will cover this theory in greater detail in another video, but there is an idea that there are 2 halves of Sanguinius, an angelic and a demonic. The angelic, of course, being the Sanguinor, but the demonic being unknown. There is a theory that these 2 halves of Sanguinius are fighting over the Legion. They are fighting over its life, its blood. And as I said, I will cover it more in a different video because it deserves a whole video enough to its own. You'll probably get that later during the week, by the way. But basically, this entity is trying to pull the Blood Angels away from their current path. He's trying to twist them, to change them, and to mold them into its own demonic entity. Its own Revenant Legion, one might say. My theory goes that Sanguinius, or the Sanguinor, the good side of his spirit, whatever it may be, he can see in the future, and he knows that the minute that Dante falls, so too will the rest of the Legion. Because when Dante falls, that demonic element, that demonic aspect of Sanguinius, whatever it may be, is going to be able to gain a hook on the angels. Why? Succession crisis. As I said, there is no clear heir to Dante. There is no clear path forward. Meaning that if there ever is going to be made a choice, some people are going to be left upset. Anyone who's done any history whatsoever will know that a succession crisis is the perfect ripe ground for a form of civil war or subversion. If you take a look at the history of various Blood Angel chapters, more often than not they've had at least one civil war. And again, I'll cover these in more detail when I do my video later about the whole idea of the two aspects of Sanguinius. But the fact of the matter is, they often have one side being adjacent towards the warp or chaos, or giving in to the black rage or the red thirst. And the big kicker is that these always are never knowing participants. They have always been tricked, bamboozled, or backstabbed into betraying the ideals of Sanguinius, and at the end of it all, they are always repentant. Now, imagine this. You are the Blood Angels. Your chapter, as well as the entire lineage of Sanguinius, has just been devastated by the Tyranids. Your homeworld is still utterly devastated. You are stuck in the Imperium Nihilus, the quite literal black void of the Imperium. And all of a sudden, your liege, who's been there for over 1,000 years, suddenly falls, and there is no clear line of successor. It is the perfect grounds for someone to come in and decide that they are going to have a bit of fun, meaning that it's the perfect grounds for the dark aspect of Sanguinius to come in and finally sink his teeth into the Blood Angels proper. And I think that the Sanguinor, the angelic aspect of Sanguinius, he has a feeling that whatever this demon has cooking up, it is actually going to overtake the Blood Angels. He believes that the Blood Angels will lose, and finally, after all this time, after 10,000 years of fighting and after the great angel's sacrifice, the mighty sons of Sanguinius will finally fall to the depredations of chaos. And to the Sanguinor, or the angelic version of Sanguinius, whatever's left of him, that is a risk not worth taking. So long as Dante stays alive, the Blood Angels will exist, and the demon aspect of Sanguinius can't make his plan. But then that begs the question, what on earth could be the demon aspect's plan that he needs Dante to be dead? Well, I have no idea, to be frank. This is completely a theory, but it could be the idea that Dante is the last living vestiges of a core of good Blood Angels. Now when I say good Blood Angels, I mean that they understand the true concept of Sanguinius. He's the last person who truly gets what it is to be a Blood Angel. That way, he can direct people on the right path, he can guide neophytes, he can guide captains, and he can make sure the Blood Angels stay on the right path. If someone new was to come in, and finally they were to do new changes, not only would these changes not be exactly what Sanguinius would have wanted, they would heavily grate the internal structure of the Blood Angels. Remember, Dante has been there for over 1,500 years. To suddenly have someone come in and start changing things, you're definitely going to ruffle a few feathers. Not to mention doing something that someone does not like, and that may or may not be against the code of the Blood Angels, whether willingly or unwillingly. It's definitely going to end up in a bad position. Dante is the only thing that is connecting the Blood Angels to Sanguinius' memory, to Sanguinius' will. If he goes, that connection goes with him, meaning that the Blood Angels no longer know exactly what Sanguinius would have done. Now, does Dante exactly know this? Probably not, but he's the only one that has anything to do with them. So if he goes, the Blood Angels are completely up the creek without the paddle, and that demon is salivating and waiting for that sweet, sweet moment when Dante finally kicks the bucket, so he can try and get his paws into the Blood Angels. But Sanguinius knows this. So, despite Dante's best wishes and his goddamn best attempt, Dante will continue to live. For if Dante ever dies, the Blood Angels die with him. And that is something that Sanguinius cannot allow. But, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so very much for watching. Let me know down below, what do you guys think about my theory? Do you guys think that the whole aspect of the demon trying to get at Dante is a thing? Do you think that Dante is the only thing keeping the Blood Angels together? Or do you think it's something different together all entirely? Let me know what you guys think down below, and I would love to hear your thoughts. But a massive thank you to you guys for watching, and even more massive thank you to my members. Shout out to my Lieutenant tier members, Mr. Eddie V3 and Miss Major of the Void. Shout out to my Sergeant tier members, Mr. Damiak, Mr. Andy McGee, Mr. Warsmith of Fireheart, and Mr. Corn's Butcher. Shout out to my Corporal tier members, Mr. Bowen and Mr. Tremail the Math Kitty. And then finally, but certainly not least, shout out to my private tier members, Mr. Thomas Waslons, Mr. Ivan_SVW, Mr. Michael Hayeda, and Mr. Hattori's Cuz. Thank you, each and every one of you. It means the absolute world to me that you guys do this, and yeah, I'm sincerely thankful. And also, it turns out that my Patreon is still a thing. I thought I had deleted it twice, but apparently Patreon wants it to exist, and there are actually people paying there. I am shooketh. I had no idea. So I am terribly sorry. Please forgive me. I guess the Patreon is back. I'm going to give it the full revamp. I'm going to make it so that the YouTube membership and the Patreon are exactly the same. To the Patreon people who are there, Jesus Christ, thank you. You guys are amazing. Oh my God. I love you so much. So, massive, huge, ginormous shout out to Mr. Fortis Unum at the private tier. Shout out to Mr. General Alexander, who is at the $20 tier, which I need to change, by the way, but thank you, sir. And Mr. Bowen, you're both a member as well as a patron. Jesus Christ, my guy, you are really putting in the work. Mwah! So, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I will revamp that. I will make sure to include the tiers, but just thank you so much. I am so sorry. Patreon just wanted this to exist. So, yeah, I'm terribly sorry. I will get back to this all in all, and I will get that revamped by the end of the week, but thank you guys also very much. It means the world to me. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for everything. Let me know down below, what do you guys think about the whole idea about Dante being the only thing keeping the Blood Angels back? And do you guys want me to do any other type of 3 videos for any other legions or any other chapters? Let me know. But ladies and gentlemen, I've been the General Bradley 101. You've been beautiful, awesome, and amazing people. Thank you also very much for watching. Make sure to say hello there, boys and girls. And I will catch y'all next time. Dismiss, Rangers. I'm just saying, bro, they're not gonna replace Dante, because if they do, they don't have to make a character that is worthy of being Dante's successor, and that shit hard.